Today, I will be using a full team of Pokemon based on Vocaloid characters. Special thanks to Magical Unikitty for the team idea. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a Vocaloid team. I'm really excited about doing this team. Now, I have two really interesting battles to showcase, as always, and I hope you enjoy them. So, I'm going to lead things off here with my Greninja. This is actually a Focus Sash lead Greninja, but I have Toxic Spikes on this set, which I don't think I really could have set up because they have a Poison type in the back that could easily absorb my Toxic Spikes. So I thought, I should just go for the Surf. I'm running Surf on this and Dark Pulse, and I have Battle Bond as the ability in case I get a KO. But I wanted to break this Chanpao's Focus Sash in case I had it. So, into Luca here for Milotic. I thought that Milotic, its pink hair color matched her design the best, I thought. So, this is actually a Dragon Dance Milotic. It's pretty interesting. But this Electros comes in, and Electros is a very bulky Pokemon. It's typically more specially defensive, but I did not want to stay in on an electric type, especially since I had a free switch into my Volt Absorb Minun for Len. Oh, I wonder who Rin is. It's totally not obvious or anything. So, I'm going to go for the Super Fang. This is a Super Fang, specially defensive Minun. Now, I have Volt Absorb as the ability to absorb the electric moves. Amazing. And I have Wish Protect on this, and I have Discharge as my last move. So, I'm going to be able to get off 50% versus the Electros, which is very nice. And in comes the Golden Go. Now, I really couldn't do much to this, and if this was like a nasty plot Golden Go, I didn't really want to face off against this Pokemon because it can be really threatening once it gets its special attack boost. So I thought, well, I'm gonna go into my Plusle here for Rin. I thought that Plusle and Minun, they're very iconically like twin Pokemon, and Rin and Len are also like very well, they are twins. So like I thought that Plusle and Minun are like the best Pokemon because I didn't want to just use two of the same Pokemon. I wanted like two different Pokemon, but they were like, similar in a way. So I'm gonna get the Wish off on my Plusle. This is a sweeping Plusle. I just barely lived the Shadow Ball. So I'm gonna get off my Thunderbolt versus this Golden Go, do as much damage as I possibly can. Plusle is a very, very, very frail Pokemon. It's impossible to bring this in like safely. So like I just had like a nasty plot sweeping a Plusle with the Air Balloon. So into my Greninja here, I thought, well, okay, I could at the very least threaten like the Golden Go with a Dark Pulse, but they're gonna bring in their Vileplume, which is going to take that pretty well. So I was like, okay, well, I do not want to stay in on like a grass move on this, especially if the Vileplume is a very bulky set. So I'm bringing in Hatsune Miku herself, the singer extraordinaire, the creator of Minecraft, and the author of the Harry Potter book series. Now, this is a Choice Scarf Meloetta. Meloetta is actually a really bulky Pokemon. Like, it actually has some good special defense. So, I'm running a Hyper Voice, Psyshock, Alluring Voice, and Focus Blast with Terra Fairy on that Meloetta. Now, I'm going to actually double into my Greninja here, expecting them to want to swap out their Vileplume, and they're actually going to bring in their Skeletor. So I was like, okay, that's really good. I could threaten this with like a Surf or a Dark Pulse, but they're actually going to end up being a Terra Normal Skeletor. So I was like, oh, okay, well, at the very least, I'm able to draw out the Terra on this at the very least and do as much damage as I possibly can. And they're going to go for that Torsong. I actually do a lot of damage. I was wondering if this was like a more offensive Skeletor. I also thought that Kaito and Greninja were very like, they match really well just because Kaito has that Scarf and Greninja is like, a water type. So into my Meloetta, back into my Hatsune Miku. Now, I didn't make the best play here, admittedly. Like, I went for the Terra Fairy Alluring Voice, hoping that would take out the Skeletors because I didn't really want to go for Focus Blast, expecting them to want to swap out into their Golden Go or their Vileplume because I'm Choice Scarf. So I'm going to go for that Terra Fairy Alluring Voice. It hit everything on the team anyway, but it barely misses the KO of the Skeletors. Oh no. And they're going to go off a Fire Blast, but my special defense allows me to live that hit. Oh my goodness, that was really close. Now, at this point in the battle, I was like, okay, I'm playing, I don't think I'm playing super well at all. I'm down like 4-6 at the moment. I really need to try to get back into this game. So, there goes the Skeletor. I was thinking that was more of an offensive Skeletor just because it had both Torch Song and Fire Blast. So, into Chanpao. Now, the Chanpao revealed Sucker Punch earlier, so I thought, it's going to be really obvious if if I swap out on that. So I'm gonna actually stay in, and they don't go for the sucker punch. So I was like, okay, that's really good. I actually managed to catch them on that play. So there goes the Qianpao. Now it's all even Stevens at this point. Now in comes the Wo-Qian. Now Wo-Qian, this is the first time I'm ever battling this Pokemon. It's a really, really bulky Pokemon, especially on the defensive side with its ability. So I was like, I'm just gonna get off as much chip damage as I possibly can versus it, and I do like less than half. So I was like, you know what, that's really good damage. Now there goes my Hatsune Miku, but she did a lot of work, and you know, it's one of my better Pokemon on this team. I mean, I'm using a Plusle and a Minun, and I'm not exactly using the best Pokemon anyway. So like, I had to work with what I had to work with for this team. Like with Oricorio here for Mako. Now this is the Swords Dance Oricorio. This is crazy. So I made a really risky play here because I didn't anticipate the Wo-Qian to want to go for foul play because, you know, Oricorio is typically like a special attacking sweeper, but this is a physical one. So this is a Swords Dance Oricorio. I thought it matched Mako the best just because she has like a red color scheme, and like I thought Oricorio's like design matched her like dress aesthetic, and also like it's like Oricorio is kind of like a musically based Pokemon, right? So I'm gonna take out the Vileplume with one dual Weeby. It actually had a Rocky helmet as well. Now into this Golden Goat. Now I'm running an Endure reversal set on this with Terra Fighting, and I thought, okay, well this Golden Goat is Life Orb. If I take it down, if I make it hurt itself with this Life Orb, I should be able to actually take it out with the next dual Wing Beat. So I'm gonna go for the dual Wing Beat, but I missed. Oh no, that sucked. I was actually in a prime position to sweep through the rest of their team because Reversal was easily going to take out the Wo-Qian and also the Electros, which is on like half HP. So I was like, well shoot, things got more complicated. I'm gonna have to go into my Milotic and hopefully try to go for that Dragon Dance sweep potentially. So they're gonna continuously bombard me with Shadow Balls, and that's gonna bring me down to Citrus Berry Rain. So I haven't explained this set yet. This is a Dragon Dance Milotic. I'm running a Dragon Dance, obviously, and I'm running Waterfall, Triple Axle, and Terra Blast Ground on this. So it's a really interesting set because obviously people expect like Milotic to be like a more like bulky defensive Pokemon because it has some really good defenses and an HP stat. So I thought, you know, might as well make it a sweeping Pokemon potentially, right? So I'm gonna go for a second Dragon Dance. I need as much Dragon Dances as possible to deal with the Wo-Qian. So they're gonna go for the Life Orb Shadow Ball, and they're actually gonna take themselves out with the old Life Orb, which is pretty funny. So into this Wo-Qian. Now I needed to hit all 3 triple axles to hopefully get a chance to KO this Pokemon. So I was like, okay, there's one triple axle. I really need to hit all 3. There's the second one, and the third one hits, and I take out the Wo-Qian. Oh my goodness! If that missed, I was absolutely getting taken out by a Giga Drain, and then I lost because there was no way my Minun was ever going to break through that Wo-Qian at all. So I'm gonna go for the Waterfall on the last Electros, and that's gonna be the end of the first game. That was a really fun battle. That was really interesting. If like I said, if I missed that triple axle on the Wo-Qian, it could have been really, really bad. But on to the second game. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe as I'm really close to 700 subscribers, which is insane. So thank you all so much for the support, and into this next game. Now, this was a really interesting team that I fought, but this was also just an absolute train wreck of a battle, and you'll see that in a moment. So the Ursaluna Blood Moon is going to absolutely obliterate me into my Focus Sash, so I was like, okay, well, I expect this to want to go for the Vacuum Wave potentially, so like I really had nothing that could deal with this in a really safe way because Ursaluna Blood Moon is a very, very bulky Pokemon. So, and I knew that from the surf damage that it was more than likely running an Assault Vest. So I just did as much chip damage as I possibly could with my Plusle, and there goes my poor Plusle, man. Like Plusle is such a hard Pokemon to use. I'm running a nasty plot set on that with like Terra Fairy Alluring Voice. So I'm just gonna revenge KO the Ursaluna with my Meloetta there, and they're gonna bring in the Okidogi. Now, this turn I was like, well, I'm locked myself into Hyper Voice. I definitely expect them to want to go for the knockoff, so I'm just gonna sacrifice my Greninja. I had Toxic Spikes on this, but like they had 3 poison types on their team. Like there was no way Toxic Spikes were doing anything. So bringing back out my Meloetta, I'm gonna go for the Psyshock. I was worried that they would like Terrasilize into a Dark type, but they actually stay in, and the Psyshock is of course going to absolutely destroy Okidogi. So into Pheasantipity. Now, I'll be honest, Pheasantipity was a really big problem. Oh, look at that. I almost KO'd it with the side shot, but they're gonna U-turn on me. So I was like, okay, that's fine. My problem with this Pokemon was that I had no idea. I have no knowledge on what Pheasantipity does at all. I don't know if it's like a bulky Pokemon or if it's like a sweeping Pokemon. Like, I don't know what Pheasantipity does. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to bring in my mine in here to hopefully tank the Sludge Wave from the incoming Munkidori. They had the Loyal 3 on their team, and I actually do tank that. So I was like, okay, well, I might go for the Super Fang in case they stay in and want to, like, go for the 3-hit KO on me, because I'm a mine and what could I possibly do? But they actually bring in Pheasantipity. I'm like, oh no, I should have went for Discharge. Oh man, that's really unfortunate, because the Pheasantipity is now going to be able to get off a Roost and recover its health. So I'm like, shoot, that was a really bad misplay. I should have definitely went for the Discharge. It wasn't going to do a lot of damage, but I figured that the Munkidori could have probably stayed in and try to go for, you know, the potential 3-hit KO, because, like I said, what is a miner going to do, right? So, that's unfortunate. The Pheasantipity is now at a really good amount of health, and, like, I need to preserve my, my Meloetta to potentially get rid of this Pokemon. So it's gonna go for the Toxic. I figured that, you know, there's a lot of poison types. I'm gonna get a poison eventually. So I thought, okay, well, I could at the very least threaten like a Dragon Dance. Like, I could go for a couple of Dragon Dances. I don't think this Pokemon can do too much to me. Like, I imagine that its last move is probably Play Rough, because they revealed like U-turn and like Roost. So they're gonna go for the Roost again. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know if this Pokemon, like I said, I'm not sure what this Pokemon runs, if it runs more like specially defensive or like regularly defensive, right? So I'm gonna go for the second Dragon Dance. It also threatens Pokemon like the Munkidori in the back, and there was one Pokemon that I was like really scared of potentially sweeping me. So they're gonna U-turn out against me. I was like, okay, they don't go for the Play Rough. That's nice. And they're gonna bring in the Munkidori. They probably thought that I was like Marble Scale, but I'm actually running a Cute Charm on this as the ability. So into the Munkidori again. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to Terrasilize into a ground type just yet. I want to go for the Waterfall here and hopefully like take out the Munkidori, and it just lives, unfortunately. But they actually get a flinch with Waterfall. Oh my goodness, that was super lucky. I thought that this Munkidori was going to be like a fake out Munkidori, but I think that they're probably like choice specs or something. So there goes the Munkidori to the Waterfall. I definitely got lucky getting that KO. So I'm going to get some more toxic damage, and I'm just going to barely live. Now, I have one more turn, and in comes the Ogerpon. This Pokemon I was definitely very terrified of, because when it Terrasilizes, it could get a speed boost, and that could outspeed my team. And they have a weakness policy too. I was like, oh my goodness, weakness policy, Ogerpon. I need to get rid of this with the triple Axle. So I'm gonna get the second hit, but I only get 2 hits this time. Oh no. But the Ogerpon goes for counter. I'm like, what is this? A counter weakness policy counter Ogerpon. That's incredible. So I'm gonna bring back out into my Meloetta here. My Hatsune Miku is gonna come back in, and they're gonna go for the Endure on their Ogerpon. I'm like, what is this set? So I'm gonna go for the Psyshock here on the Ogerpon. It obviously is gonna bring it down to all the way to 1 HP, and I was like, this might be like a reversal Ogerpon. It's going to be really problematic, because now they're going to Terrasilize to get that speed boost on their regular Ogerpon. So I'm like, okay, well, this is probably game. I probably don't outspeed this, but like the Ogerpon is going to get its embody aspect, of course. And somehow I do outspeed it. What? How did I outspeed this? I am running a Choice Scarf, but still, like, Ogerpon naturally has faster speed. So I'm like, how did I outspeed this? This probably didn't have any speed investment or something. What is that? So I have no idea what that Ogerpon set was. So there it goes at the very least. So into this Pheasantipity, which is now on full health. This is like deja vu. I'm going to bring it back down to red again. And they're going to go for the U-turn, but I barely lived that on my Meloetta. Now, this is where things started. This is where things became crazy. So into this Terapagos. Now, typically when I see Terapagos, I'm like, okay, well, this Pokemon is like hazard control, like, potentially. So I'm gonna swap out my Meloetta here into my Minun, because I thought that I could break its Terra Shell ability, and I could use Super Fang, which actually goes through that ability. Oh my goodness, I swapped hard into an Earth Power, and I barely lived. That max special defense basically saved me at that point. So I was like, okay, well, at the very least, I could get off a Super Fang, and I'm going to be able to break its Terra Shell ability, and I'm always going to do half health. So I was like, okay, this is really nice. I could potentially go for Discharge potentially after this, and maybe they would take me out, but they actually go for Rock Polish. I'm like, oh no, I realized too late what the set was. It's the Rock Polish on Calm Mind Terapagos. I was like, Ooh, this is rough. So I like this is a really tough position because like couldn't really do much because all I had was discharge on this and I didn't get a paralysis, which is really unfortunate. So thought, well, if I keep going for discharges, hopefully they'll get paralysis eventually. But they're actually gonna take me out with the Earth power. So there goes my mind, and now this is where I fumbled because I thought, okay, well, they're at +2 speed. There's no way that I should possibly outspeed it. But I outspeed it, but Hyper Voice doesn't get the KO. Why did I outspeed it? It was at +2 speed. I don't understand. Okay, first of all, if I click Psyshock there, I definitely won. I think because Psyshock does more damage than Hyper Voice, even though it has like less base power, right? But didn't expect to outspeed at all. I just went for a Hyper Voice thinking that I lost. Oh my gosh. This is why you don't give up in Pokemon. So I had this Terra fighting Oricorio, which I thought would like hopefully live a Terra Starstorm from this, but like, yeah, there's no way. Oricorio has like 2 defense. What an absolute like fumble on my part. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed both of those battles. I really had fun using this on Vocaloid team. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.